Hello everyone, Joe Biscaglia here from just outside Niagara Field in Orchard Park. And of course the big story of the day from a football perspective. We know the big story over on the hockey side with Jack Eichel and things like that. But from a football perspective, they also welcome back one of their star players, one of their best and most talented young players. Sammy Watkins got back onto the practice field for the first time since mid-September. Of course, he has been dealing with that foot injury for really since the season ended in 2015. Watkins had to have the surgery to correct it, got back to training camp, participated a little bit, then got through the first two games of the season. The Bills shut him down for the Arizona game, later put him on injured reserve ahead of the Patriots game, and that's where we've been kind of in a wait-and-see mode with Watkins moving forward from there. Watkins, to me, was able to get out there on the practice field, but didn't really gear up all that much. I think he was just more so getting his feet wet. And when you watch him kind of go through his routes, you didn't really see him go too hard after it into his breakdowns and things like that. So whether or not Watkins is able to play on Sunday against the Jaguars, that's something that they're going to have to determine as the week kind of goes along here. Watkins, of course, they don't want to rush him back into the lineup. I think that might have been a curious line of thinking early on in the season when they probably should have rested him against the New York Jets in week 2. They instead allowed him to play, and of course he just really didn't look like himself. So I don't think they're going to make that same mistake again with him, especially seeing as how they're going to need him beyond this year. Just, this year is important because they're chasing after the playoffs, but there's no reason to push him. So Sammy Watkins seems to be of the same belief. He's putting his trust totally in the medical staff to tell him when is a good time to get back on the field. But the Bills sure could use him because they're going to be without Robert Woods likely in the upcoming game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they'll be down to Percy Harvin, Justin Hunter, Marquise Goodwin, Walt Powell, Brandon Tate. So they could certainly use an infusion of talent at wide receiver, but only under the right circumstances and only if Sammy Watkins and his foot is up to speed so far. He says he's healthy and the foot feels good, but he would not commit to playing on Sunday, which is smart on his part. So we'll have to see if the conditioning gets there and whether or not the Bills feel comfortable with trotting him out on the field. Now, as for another big position on the offensive side of the ball, LeSean McCoys is the other big question mark here because we don't know to the extent of how much his thumb injury will indeed impact him from a game perspective. Now, McCoy was able to practice today on a limited basis, and according to Tyrod Taylor, from what he said after the practice, apparently LeSean McCoy told him he would be a full go for Sunday. So we'll have to see if McCoy can get there and whether or not he'll be able to tote the rock as much as he normally does when he is fully healthy. So that is another situation that bears monitoring as we kind of go along here. And then his backup, Mike Gillislee, who had a nice game against the Cincinnati Bengals, especially in the second half, really helped the offense get some yardage. He had to leave today's practice due to a hamstring injury and was listed as a limited participant. We don't know the severity of it just yet, but we will have to see kind of as the week goes along here if he's able to get back out on the practice field, A, and B, if he'll actually be ready for Sunday, because hamstring injuries do tend to linger from one week to the next. So they'll have to proceed with caution there as well. But the Bills, obviously a huge game coming up, a win that they need to have against a team that's 2-8 on the season. It's going to be a home game. If they want to win 5 of the next 6, this has to be one of those games for sure to meet in order to really make a push towards that postseason. So we'll see how the week kind of goes along for them, but they do practice on Thanksgiving. It'll be a morning session, but I'll be sure to be there and update you about the goings-on with Sammy, with LeSean McCoy, with Mike Gillislee, and all the other injuries that will pop up as the week kind of goes along. But for now, from Orchard Park, I'm Joe Biscaglia. We'll talk to you next time.